Some good news to report, people. Check this out. If narcissistic behaviors are learned, which we believe they are, then they can be unlearned. We can learn new behaviors to replace them, even if they are not natural to us. Praise the Lord for that. Dr. David Hawkins unveils the truth about the challenging aspects of love that most people are not talking about. Narcissism, emotional, spiritual, and financial abuse, secondary abuse and the church, trauma, sex addiction, divorce, separation, and much more. He is the clinical director of the Marriage Recovery Center and the Emotional Abuse Institute, best-selling author of When Loving Him is Hurting You, wow, and host of the Mad in Love podcast. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of the Counterculture Mom Show. I'm Tina Griffin, and we are talking about the red flags, consequences, and painful aftermath of narcissism with Dr. Dave Hawkins, Clinical Director of Marriage Recovery Center. Dr. Hawkins, how you doing today?
Couldn't do better. So thank you for having me. I'm anxious to share ideas with you. I'm anxious to talk about these issues. It's so prevalent and so needed. So thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. You look very relaxed. With the roof picture in the background, you're obviously on vacation somewhere south and warm where I should have been doing this interview in person. So why haven't you filled me in ahead of time here, David?
Well, I am in a lovely, lovely place. My wife and I spend about 4 or 5 months south of the border, and I work here. I live here. Life is good. So thank you. Yeah, and we'll have you down. We'll see if we can work that out.
I can't wait. I was teasing you before we started taping that if you need plants for watering here, my husband, myself, kids can come on down and help you out. You work with individuals and couples through assessments, sessions, and group programs to address thinking errors, emotional abuse, and narcissistic traits. First of all, how did you get wrapped up in that world? What caused you to want to help people with narcissism?
Yeah, I began seeing patterns again and again and again. What I noticed, Tina, was that traditional marriage counseling, I would see all these couples and I would do traditional marriage counseling. Traditional marriage counseling, as you might know, says it's a two-way street. It's a 50-50 deal. Both people bring equal issues to the table. That is woefully inadequate for many, if I dare say most problems. So I began to look under the hood, so to speak, to look at issues in a more in-depth way. And what I discovered was, oh my goodness, no, this isn't just a two-way street. It's really a one-way street. This, typically a man, has been powering over. He's been dominating. He's been dismissing. He's been deflecting. He has created what my colleagues have called a maze of confusion. In other words, problems don't get resolved effectively and efficiently. Why don't they? Because underneath it all, there's narcissism and emotional abuse. And so, I don't know, Tina, the more I looked at this and the more I looked for narcissism and emotional abuse, the more I found it. It's there. It's prevalent. It's all over the place. And women, I'm going to use that gender, by and large, it's women who have been victimized by men. Not always, not always at all. It can be the reverse. But typically, what I'm seeing is women who have been traumatized and victimized by men who are, like I said, dismissive, defensive, deflective, and so on, and that goes on and on and on, and then cumulatively, it causes horrific problems. Problems which, as you just noted, though, can be reversed with very, very significant attention and treatment. But that's how I got into it. We as a nation are not looking critically enough, and we need to look more critically at these issues.
Unbelievable. So when you saw this counseling couples that it's a lot of times one-sided major issues coming from one of those people, you decided to specialize now in narcissism. Thank you for doing that. That means the world, and it's so needed. So Dr. Hawkins, can you tell us about what is emotional abuse and how does it differ from other forms of abuse?
Yeah. So emotional abuse, Tina, is any behavior, any consistent behavior, by the way, a consistent behavior that is used to dominate and diminish another person. So over time, by the way, it doesn't take a long time, but imagine this happening again and again and again. Let me tell you what health is, Tina, and then we'll talk about what unhealth is. Health is you bring a concern to me, I hear you, I listen, I empathize with you, I validate your concern, I take ownership of your concern, and I help you find a resolution to the problem.
Right.
That's what health is. Now, imagine the exact opposite. This woman comes to a man with a concern, any concern, a concern about the children, a concern about money, a concern about sexuality, a concern about any number of issues. And what does he do? He deflects. He dominates. He dismisses her again and again. Oh, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not a problem. And in fact, if there's any problem, it's with you. You're the problem here. You need to shut up. You need to go away. You need to be thankful that I'm working full time and that you have a roof over your head. I mean, you're a lucky person. All right, now, Tina, imagine if that happens again and again and again and again, and her voice is silenced. And in fact, not just silenced, she's told that she's crazy. She's told that she shouldn't have these feelings. And so her head begins to spin. Now, add to all of this, she knows she's emotionally in trouble. She doesn't know where to turn. She doesn't even know how to talk about this problem. He's telling me it's not a problem, but it feels like a problem. It feels like a horrible problem. But there's no place to turn, no voice for her to take, no solution for her to have. And so she shrinks and shrinks and shrinks deeper and deeper and deeper into her depression. This is more than we have time for today, Tina, but she begins to develop physiological symptoms. She can't sleep well. She's anxious. She's depressed. She is voiceless. She develops emotional symptoms. And the problem grows and grows and grows and grows. And now she's not only developing symptoms of PTSD, but PTSD, chronic post-stress disorder. So post-traumatic stress disorder, excuse me. So it's a big, big, big problem. All the while, he is not getting help. And so now their marriage begins to crumble more and more and more and more unless there's an intervention. And that's, of course, what I specialize in.
Absolutely. We're going to be dissecting that. You just dropped an atomic bomb. You know what? I'm going to share. We're being raw and real in 2024, and I've picked apart myself the last 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks here on the program. And my husband knew I was taping narcissism as the theme of the week, and he texted me about an hour ago and said, be raw and real, share what you want to share. And he knew full well what that meant.
Good for him, by the way.
Good for him. Good for him. On Christmas Day this last year, 2023, we were on vacation with the kids. And on Christmas Day, that evening, I left a message for his mom. And I said, I'm married to a narcissist. And I'm not even going to start crying. But the layers and layers and layers of what you just said is to a T what's been going on for 16 years. And frankly, he knows it's been going on since he was a teenager. And he told me 5 minutes after I told his mom that I'm married to a narcissist because we had a big falling out on the beach where I was with the kids. And I wasn't putting up with it anymore. He then told me, I believe I'm a narcissist, 5 minutes after I told his mom. And it was very eerie because he had no clue that I just reached out to his mom. So I wanted to ask you a couple of key questions, but of course it's commercial break time. I'm going to wrap my brain around what you just said. I fully hear what you're saying because I've lived it. Not that I don't have my own problems, but it has been massively degrading and has massively trashed our marriage. Not that I don't love Luke, but and now he recognizes it. So whole host of questions for you right after this short word from our sponsor. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
We have 4 principles. First Amendment, Second Amendment, right to life, military and first responders.
My name's Scott. I'm with Patriot Mobile. What is going on with all the woke companies in this country? It seems like everybody has completely lost their minds, right? No more. This is called voting with our dollars. We need to start prioritizing our beliefs and our values over convenience and comfort. And this is why companies like Patriot Mobile are so important right now.
If you have a place to go put your money, you always want to put it with somebody that's like-minded.
Of course.
I think that's the beauty of Patriot Mobile. We're a conservative alternative.
My pronouns are Bible believer, gun carrier, and mama bear. We are the nation's only Christian conservative wireless provider.
Switch today at patriotmobile.com. For free activation, use promo code TINA.
Here are 7 signs you may have a parasite. My biggest issue, because I did have parasites, was teeth grinding, skin irritation, and unexplained digestive issues. The other indication that you could have a parasite is eating after 7 p.m. and craving sugar. My name is Kim. I'm the worm queen and the inventor of the Parafy Kit. Let's go over it. Parafy, it's your parasite cleanse. Sustain, it's your candida and your bad bacteria cleanse. Metal Flush, it's your heavy metal detox. Cinnabon, it's your binder. You take Parafy and Metal Flush 3 times a day and Sustain 2 times a day. You can take them all together. The kit comes with instructions. Cinnabon is your binder and you take that at night. We have a nut-free option. We ship worldwide. The Parafy Kit is for ages 3 and up. Use TINA as your 10% discount code. Find it on rogersfood.com.
David, I feel like America is watching, the Griffin clan here just raw and exposed, but we can't dig into the issues and address them and find freedom in Christ if we don't dig in. So Luke and I have both prayed about it. We want to be raw and real. He knows I'm going to be talking about issues about myself, about him on this program. But just to recap, my husband told me on Christmas Day just a couple of weeks ago that he believes he's a narcissist. Found some articles about it. He goes, this is what I'm dealing with for decades, Tina. I'm so sorry. Tears flowing on Christmas Day. And like I said, a couple minutes before that, I told his mom, I think I'm married to a narcissist. I think that's what it is. So a couple of key questions. He just texted me literally minutes ago. The exact words, just to get this down right, was share what God leads you to share. So thank you, Luke, for letting me be raw and real, and know that I love you. We want marriages to be repaired, mended. I've been speaking around the globe for 20 some years. During my speaking tour last summer with the kids, I met a couple of women that got divorced from their spouses, not knowing I was dealing with all this, and just coming up to me after I would get done speaking saying, I'm married to a narcissist, or I just divorced this narcissist for 50 years, whatever it was. One lady was 7 years. If you want marriages to stay together, what can the spouse do that's not the narcissist to not be dwindled down to nothing and wings clipped and they feel destroyed and they lost their identity of who Christ called them to be, in the midst of the other person trying to figure out if they even get to the point of realizing what they're doing?
So, Tina, the good news here, the past is the best predictor of the future unless there's an intervention. And then, thank God, the past doesn't have to look anything like the future. The future doesn't look anything like the past. But notice the key word here. The key word is intervention. If I can address your husband, Luke, good for you to say, I'm a narcissist. Now, by the way, that's a word that means a lot and it means nothing. It's just a big word. So ownership is really, really key. And this is the mountain here, Tina. It's a steep mountain for men to climb this mountain. They have to be dedicated. You know, the scripture tells us the truth will set you free. It ought to say that, but it ought to say the truth will set you free after it hurts like the dickens.
Yes.
You know, yeah, I mean, the truth. So the truth is only sets us free if we apprehend it. So Luke, my goodness, if you apprehend the truth, if you really look in the mirror, if you and probably 80 million other men, if they look in the mirror and if they own and they really say, look, I've got characterological, big word, characterological means it's woven into our character. This isn't just a symptom like a headache that we go to Rite Aid and we get some medicine for. This is, man, I have got to, with God's help and with expert skill, by the way, Tina, I told you there's very few people who have expertise in narcissism and emotional abuse. It's complicated, difficult work, but there is work that can be done. But anyway, he's got to, Luke and 80 million other men, or 60, it's a huge number, that have to really look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm going to find expert help. I'm going to climb this mountain. I'm going to look at the ways that I dismiss her, the ways I defend against what she's bringing to me, the ways that I deflect her, the ways that I disregard her. By the way, I don't want to go up on another tangent, Tina, but there's another issue that I'm addressing. I address new issues all the time because I'm seeing them more and more. What about the man who neglects his wife as emotional abuse? Meaning he doesn't really see her. He doesn't really take into himself what her concerns are, what her issues are. I gave you the example of the man who says, I don't really want you to bring a criticism to me. I don't like criticism. I don't do criticism. Guys, guess what? We better do criticism. We better listen to criticism because we can I tell my men that are working we have a 3-tiered core group program, Tina, and I tell them, you can get your mate to shut up. You can. You can dismiss her enough. You can deflect enough. You can disregard her enough that she will shut up. But guys, woe to you when the day comes when she looks at you and says, you've shut me up so much that now I am gone. My heart is dead toward you. And it can happen, Tina. Women's hearts can die. They can die. Can men resuscitate them if they really get down to work? They can. But guys, make no mistake about it. You can shut her up again and again and again and again. But man, you don't want to be like the men in my group who say, guys, if your wife is complaining, thank the Lord. Thank the good Lord.
She's still there.
She's still there and she's complaining. There. You have a chance. But if she says, you know what, I get it. I'm done complaining. Boy, you're on your last gasp and this marriage can die. It really can. I don't want it to die. And if these guys will dig in and get expert help from someone who knows about narcissism and the complexities of emotional abuse, there is hope. But boy, oh boy, they've got to lock arms with this team of people and really go at it.
Yes. And I don't even know where to start because there's so much for so many years. But what I can say is I absolutely am seeing changes in Luke. We started going to an excellent church last year. It's here in Nashville. It's not fake crying anymore. He literally, like when he's shedding tears, I can tell that he is absolutely coming to the Lord and coming to the grips of what in the world he's doing. I don't know if a narcissist, and I told him this many times, I said, I don't think you'll understand how much you've hurt me because you're still struggling with the narcissism. I was going to ask you, is a person born a narcissist? Obviously, the answer is no from what you've already shared. But how does a person become a narcissist? Because his mom told me, oh my gosh, he was giving and caring and loving and he never showed any of those signs when he was under my roof as a kid. Then his 20s, a bomb, and this is when it happened, or late teens. How does a person become a narcissist?
So, Tina, I think the best way to think about narcissism is to call it profound emotional immaturity. All right, so let's unpack that. So you've got a 20-year-old, you've got a young man, 20 years old, and fair enough. So he wasn't full of self-adulation as a 20-year-old, but then he got into a relationship, and then, she started to be a little critical of him, and he started to not accept that criticism. And then he developed patterns of self-protection. Please remember that word, self-protection. Remember, I've talked about deflection, defensiveness, dismissiveness, disregard.
Yes.
So this healthy, if we look at a healthy 50-year-old man, that healthy 50, which there's not very many of, by the way, sadly, but what we can do is we can grow emotionally. And we're called to grow emotionally. We're called to grow spiritually. But this 20-year-old didn't grow emotionally. How many books did he read on emotional maturity? Zero. How many did he read cover to cover on a healthy marriage? That'd be zero again. How many times did he really sink himself into therapy and personal growth? That'd be zero again.
I could do a 10-part series with you.
Okay.
It's like a personal counseling session right here. Bear with for America. But I know a lot of you watching. Please can relate to everything we're doing and saying and everything going on here today. Reach out to us at show@counterculturemom.com. If you want to share your story, get on the program. Let us know that if you were married to someone that was a narcissist, the hope and healing process and what helped, what worked. And please check out David Hawkins. Excellent doctor. You're fantastic. More with your website, resources, all of that right after this. And know that, everybody, we have a lot more questions for this doctor, this expertise here on narcissism, because we're going to do a part 2. And these questions are absolutely phenomenal because we have to dig deeper. Like you said, David, a lot of these issues are not even addressed today in churches, with counselors, with doctors. You're one of the few that is. So we got to dig in deeper. More with Dr. Hawkins right after this.
The Jace case is a pack of 5 antibiotics. We put these antibiotics together very purposefully. They were curated in a way that covers the most common as well as the most deadly bacterial infections that you might encounter. In addition, it includes a guidebook to the safe use of the medications that is written in a way that's accessible for most people to be able to look up what their symptoms are and what the proper medication is to take. The idea behind the Jace case is to allow everyone to be better prepared medically, to be empowered to care for themselves.
Since the pandemic began, our healthcare industry has had to transform. From receiving medication to physician visits, everything changed. Jace Medical is dedicated to providing proper access to medications before you need them. This protects against issues during travel or disruptions with supply chains, natural disasters, and other emergency situations that have proven to overwhelm our healthcare system. Secure your own supply of medication with ease and peace of mind.
Use code TINA for a discount at jacemedical.com.
Have you ever wanted to start a charity or ministry? Launching a nonprofit can be time-consuming, expensive, and overwhelming. If you have a vision and mission, but don't know where to start or how to raise donations, Capstone Legacy Foundation is your solution. Their ministry charity project allows you to receive tax-free donations without the expense and hassle of forming your own 501c3, and in less than 48 hours. This ministry partnership fund is exactly how Counterculture Ministries got its start, and we grew quickly. Capstone Legacy Foundation handles all your legal and accounting paperwork, allowing you time to develop the ministry and message God gave you. Call Capstone today at 610-688-8890 or check out capstonelegacy.org for more information. And tell them Tina sent you. Partner with Capstone Legacy Foundation to transform our culture for Christ and get your nonprofit started today.
Thank you for all your expertise. We're going to go to part 2 here, but first, your website, marriagerecoverycenter.com. Everyone out there, you're either you're a narcissist, you're married to a narcissist, you have a mom or a dad that's a narcissist, a child, or you have friends and family that need this information. Everyone should get their hands on marriagerecoverycenter.com. Dr. David, walk us through where to go to sign up for your courses, classes, and get more help.
Yeah, well, you're going to go to our website, www.marriagerecoverycenter.com. We have books available for you there, Tina. We have a 3-tiered program for men, a comprehensive core program that will help men to grow up and become the men that they need to be to protect their mates the way their mates need to be protected, so marriages can be saved. They really can be saved. So we've got a client care team ready to answer all kinds of questions. And as you can see on our website, we consider ourselves to be the leading authority on the treatment of narcissism and emotional abuse. And thank God it is treatable.
Absolutely. I am dying to get more information off your website once again, because personal experience. And I know Luke and I together will be doing this. We've been reading a marriage book now every day, pretty much since Christmas bomb happens. So God's getting our attention. I'm learning a lot of things through it to become more Christ-like. So is he. So there is hope. We see a ray of hope. Finally, praise the Lord, after how many years? And I know he sees hope because he finally figured out what in the world's going on. Dr. Hawkins,
Excellent.
You are phenomenal. Don't move. I know you're on vacation down there. Don't move. I'm going to be back with you, part 2, right after this. Everybody out there, watch all 4 episodes on narcissism this week. Unbelievable. You, Dr. Hawkins, I'll see you in about 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.